Advice to the wives. If you really want to touch the heart of your husband, instead of telling him that you love him, try this. Stop what you're doing. Get up close to him, grab both of his hands, and look him in the eyes. Then tell him you're proud of him. Tell him you respect him. Tell him you honor him, and tell him you are grateful for the husband and father he is, or is trying to be. And please make sure you mean what you're saying. He'll know the difference. If you do this, you will have touched the heart of your husband, the very core of him as a man. And don't be surprised if you make him cry while he's doing that backflip for and because of you.
I love that.
I know it makes me cry, and I have not done it yet, but I'm going to today because I read this a while back and saved it. It's just from a Facebook page called Uncommon Marriage. A man named Danny Delgado wrote that. There's a little bit more to it that I didn't read, but I think, men really appreciate when we show respect, the respect that God tells us to have for them. So I'm going to do that today.
Well,
He doesn't
even
know
if
it yet.
they play it cool,
Mhm.
and be like, hey, thanks. I feel like it's one of those things where when they're walking off, like stick their chest out a little bit more,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, John won't play it cool. He doesn't do things like that. But anyway.
Neil won't either. Neil would eat it up and be like, I
Uh-huh.
love your praise.
Yes.
I
Praise
can't do that
me.
with him because he's one of the 2 or 3 male population that listens to this podcast. So I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
welcome to Looking Up.
mhm.
As we've said in every episode, this is a podcast for Christian women. And we're glad that you've joined us. We like to get together and just talk about things that are of interest to me and Kathy, and hopefully some of you as well. We're just going to have a fun, lighthearted episode today and ask each other some questions from Table Topics, one of my favorite. I guess it's a game, but it's not really a game. Although whenever we do play it, we laugh a lot and we learn a lot about each other. Um, I I took some of these cards along with me on the last drive that we went back and forth to Houston with Alice, and we had fun with them too. So, table topics, I just always recommend them for conversation starters and for just learning more about each other. So, we're going to do that today. But in the meantime, we're going to just talk a little bit about what's been going on over the past week. So, what have you been doing since the last time we talked?
I feel like I have all these little random tidbits that I'm going to be throwing out there, and none of them are related and probably don't make sense. But
I like random tidbits.
oh, good. Well, we got our pews yesterday,
Oh, cool.
actually over the past 2 days, but by yesterday they were all installed, and I haven't even been in there and seen it in person because last night Neil spoke at a congregation in Calvert City, which is a couple hours from here, so I went with
Mhm.
him. I've seen pictures of them in there, and just seeing all the wood from the pews really looks like it just really warmed up the space.
Mhm.
And then Jeremy Waddell said he thought the singing sounded better last night,
Really?
having the pews
Are,
in there instead of chairs.
are they padded?
hmm Yeah, they have upholstery and
What color?
kind of a neutral. I've only seen pictures. It looks like it's some kind of neutral oatmeal tan.
Yeah.
I don't know what the I don't know
Hmm.
what the exact color
I'm
is.
sure there's a fancy name for that color.
Probably, yeah. But so
Is
that's
that the
you
last
don't.
thing you've been waiting on?
Well, there's been a few things here and there. Like we discovered that we forgot water fountains.
What?
Yes.
Well,
It's amazing how many things you just don't think about.
hmm.
And I think that was discovered one of our very first services. People were like, where are the water fountains? And then it dawns on everybody, oh,
You don't have one.
we don't have one. So one of those was put in yesterday. Also, I think we're going to get another one somewhere else. But, just little tiny things here and there that you realize need adjusted or fixed or were
Yeah,
left out or nothing big. But anyway, but the
I'm
pews
excited to
were
see it.
pews were a big deal. It makes a big difference for small families, moms with their diaper bags and little
Hmm.
toddlers sitting next to them, and
Yeah.
it makes a big difference for the elderly. I mean, I know a lot of congregations just use chairs now, which I
Hmm.
always thought was kind of a neat idea. But the elderly use that pew in front of them to pull themselves up,
Right. Hmm.
and then even me with little Collins sitting next to me, we always have our pouch of pens between us and all, and there's no place to put all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
You're just kind of everything has to be on the floor under the chair in front of you, and
Yeah. Or it
it's
might
not
fall
a
out the
big
back of the chair.
deal. Yeah, it's not a big deal. You just realize how much you appreciated a pew.
Yeah.
So,
And it's probably more comfortable too.
yes, of course.
Well,
Yeah.
good.
So,
I can't wait to
yeah.
see it.
I know. Me too.
Yeah.
By
Oh,
the time
yeah.
this airs, I will have. No, I won't either because I'm leaving town this weekend.
Where
Yeah,
are
I
you
can't wait.
going?
Well, Neil and I are going on a little getaway.
How
We're
fun.
gonna we're gonna take off. We're not going very far. I'll share all that. I'll share all about it in our next episode. I'll save that for next time. But we're just
Okay.
gonna take off for a few days and
Well, good.
not taking our laptops or anything, So
A
it'll be
little
good.
me time.
Hmm. Yeah,
We time, I guess, is more
we
appropriate.
time. That's right. That's right.
Good for you.
So
Are
yeah,
you
what do you want to?
flying somewhere
We are
or?
driving.
Okay.
Hmm. Look at you trying to ferret out information.
Mm-hmm. Close to water?
I'm not answering any more questions.
Okay. I want to tell me fine. I got the cutest little card from Kim Moyers, from your Kim Moyers.
The
And
sweetest woman in all the land.
apparently so.
That's her sub name.
This must be from, I bet this is from your mom.
The card
What's your mom's
itself,
last name
it's
now?
Utzman now.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Your mom made this card.
Yeah.
I saw by Joyce Utzman, but I didn't think about it being your mom until just now
Hmm.
because she was not Joyce Utzman for very long.
Hmm.
Hasn't been for very long. Anyway, very, very cute card. But she was very complimentary about the podcast and just how she says we're encouraging. And I think, wow, she doesn't know how encouraging she is just to send. She sent one to me and a separate one to John about some of the
Oh,
Bible Land Passages videos and the land in the book things that he's been doing. And so it was just very, very sweet of her. Thank
so
you, Kim.
thoughtful. She is an encourager.
Yeah,
She really is.
obviously so.
Yeah. Well, do you remember me mentioning Gypsy Secret is one of the books last week? Neil found me a copy,
Oh, where did he find
and
it?
I don't know. I don't know. When we got back last night, it was waiting on us, and it somebody had shared a picture of it in the Looking Up group. Is this the book you were talking about? And I didn't recognize it because it still had the dust jacket on it, and this one did too when it came, and it was that
Mm-hmm.
same picture. But I took it off because the one I had or read or borrowed, I don't even know if I owned the copy or if it was a library book, but this was the cover. I distinctly
Mm-hmm.
remember this. Oops, I'm not really
Yeah.
showing it very well in there.
Yeah.
This is how it looked. So I pulled the dust jacket off and I was like, oh! So
Transported back.
I just kind of skimmed through it last night, and it is written, you can tell by the fonts and everything, it is written
Mm-hmm.
for a younger
Yeah.
target audience, but I cannot wait to read this again. I was so thrilled that he found a copy, and
I wonder if you found it on eBay or somewhere like that.
I have no idea. Yeah, but
Well,
I was so
smarty
surprised, and
pants.
he said, "See, I listened."
Apparently so.
Yes.
I'm not surprised by that though. He's listened and done things like that many times.
Yeah, yeah, he's good about that.
Yeah. So should we talk about my brother's video?
I loved it. It was horrible.
It's horrible.
It was horrible.
That's
Yes,
the
it was.
story of my life.
Oh my,
Yes.
we looked like ogres. I mean, real ogres, Shrek-like
Well, so
ogres,
he had
except
sent
not
me,
green.
he sent that via Snapchat. And I just don't use Snapchat, but
I don't either.
that's something that he and Karen use, I guess, to communicate with their kids. And so occasionally, I mean, I don't even think to check it. I don't have a notification, but somehow there's a notification that comes one way that sometimes I'll see it. So I happen to look at it, and it was a different face than the one that I ended up sending you. And he had the sound on. So we were talking back and forth with these big faces. It was like it looked like a hairy guy with a sweatband and a mustache.
Oh
So
no.
you and I both had sweatbands and mustaches and, 70s guy hair.
Oh my.
So anyway, I know you can save those, but I didn't do it. I mean, I was looking at it just going, and then I laughed and then I wrote him. I just said, you have to send me that so I can send it to Kathy. And so then he sent me that one that I ended up sharing. But the sound wasn't on, but you could hear him laughing in the background.
He was highly amusing himself.
Cracking
Yeah.
himself up. Yeah. So he had toe surgery a while back, which of course he delights in sending me pictures of his gradually healing toe.
Nope. Nope.
And, I'm
Mm-mm.
not too grossed out by stuff like that, but I don't really want to see it.
Mm.
But, with Doug, it's reverse psychology. I just have to pretend like I like it. And then maybe he won't send me as much, but he still does send me. Anytime I see there's a picture
Ooh.
notification from my brother, I'm a little nervous what it's going to be. But
Mm.
anyway, he has one more week before he can start driving, and then he'll entertain himself in some other way besides creating dumb videos of you and me.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I mean, horrific. We looked awful, but at the same time, I thought that must be shared in the group. You have to share it.
Part of what's funny is that you look horrific, but you don't know you look horrific. So you're just, it's just you keep on talking because it's a, what do you call it, a filter or something.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so he's done
So
that
good.
kind of thing. He learned Photoshop long before Photoshop was a thing, and he would send me
Mm-hmm.
pictures of myself, as a picture. But somehow he would grab my forehead and pull it way down, and grab my ears and pull them way up, and cheeks out. So I'd have this warped picture of me. So, I guess I used to think that brothers quit being that kind of brother when they grew up, but apparently maybe some of them do, but mine did not. So,
I never had a brother, just a sister. But every now
mhm.
and then, Neil acts in such a way that I think to myself, I'm not so sad that I didn't have a brother because I imagine it'd feel a lot like this.
Yeah, well, he's okay, I guess, but that's just what he does to entertain himself. Yeah.
Well, speaking of my sister, I mentioned that she was going to come speak at Our Ladies Retreat.
Mhm.
She blew it out of the water,
Awesome.
knocked it out of the park, whatever phrase you want to stick in there. It
In a
was
good
so
way.
good in a good way. It was so good. And my favorite thing that she shared was she was talking about, I jotted down the references in Matthew 18 when some of Jesus's disciples encountered a storm. They said, "Who is this that even the winds and the sea obey him?" And then in Matthew 14, when he calms another storm, the reaction is, "Surely this is the Son of God." And her point was sometimes we have to encounter a couple of storms to understand who Jesus really is.
Hmm.
And I thought that was so good. But she talked a little bit about, of course, quit hiding behind everything's normal
Right.
with each other. But she also talked about discontentment and loneliness and fear and anxiety and pride and just all kinds of really good things. It was a good weekend. I felt like it was good for our congregation too. The ladies that were there, brought
Mhm.
us closer together and opened up some good discussion. So
Yeah. I
mhm.
love that you've been sharing quotes from her
Mhm.
lessons on your Facebook page this week.
Yeah, yeah, it was
I knew it
good.
was going to be good. She's a good speaker.
She really
She
is.
has good, deep thoughts.
Hmm. She does.
Yeah.
Smart girl.
So I tried those chocolate things that you talked about last week.
Hmm.
Did you say Joyce Johnson made them?
Hmm.
I thought it was her because everything good seems to come from her.
That's right.
And they did not look very nice.
Oh.
They tasted really good.
Hmm.
But it was one of those things that when you were talking about it, I was thinking, I have peanut butter, I have wheat thins, I even have those melty. I had bought a bag at Sam's or Costco
No
at
kidding.
Christmas time and didn't use their little
Hmm.
wafers, melty wafers.
Hmm.
And yeah, they were delicious. I mean, I
Yeah.
would
How
never
long?
have
How
thought
long
that
did
about
it?
wheat thins.
I know it doesn't seem like it'd work, but
Mm-mm.
how long did it take him to set up? Because I'm thinking about making them for tonight. All the kids are coming over.
Um, well, I made them, it was for Sunday potluck and I made them Sunday morning. So I
Oh.
just put them together, and as I was laying them out on the cookie sheet with parchment paper,
Hmm.
they were setting up. So
Oh, oh, good.
depending on how much time you have, I think it would
Hmm.
work. Although I can see your kids coming in, the boys especially, and just picking them up, whether
As
they're
they
set
walk
or
in.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I was going to show you this cute little game we got. It's Farmopoly.
That's cute.
Isn't that cute?
It makes me think of
And
peaches.
the little metal pieces, the game pieces that everybody has there, of course, more farm type
Hmm.
implements and things like that. So it's really cute. And Neil and I are going to take this on our little getaway. I'm way more excited about it than he is.
What a romantic game to play,
I
Farmopoly.
know, but we're taking that. And Gary and Chelsea had picked up some of these. They're called caramel king puffs. These are from Roll King for Neil for his birthday, which he hadn't opened up yet. So I'm stashing this in there.
It's not a road trip without something sweet.
That's right. Exactly. I'm pretty sure that's quotable.
Hmm. I mean, you have to stop at a gas station, and I don't know what it is about. I'm not going to buy a bag of M&Ms for myself at the grocery store, but on a road trip, I might. I don't know why it's okay on a road trip, but not at the grocery
Yeah.
store.
You just do things that you wouldn't normally do. It makes it feel more like an adventure or something, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah,
something like
just
that.
something out of the ordinary. We had gone to Nashville on Tuesday. Russell Simpson had a heart procedure and we went down there and we grabbed something to eat and our waiter or server, I mean, came to the table and started, Neil's like, how are you doing? He goes, thanks for asking. I'm pretty tired. My girlfriend, like she came over and stayed till 3 in the morning. And I guess this is what I get from having her over there till 3 in the morning, but what can you do? How are y'all doing? So we just chit chatted with him for a little while and, we had some interactions throughout the meal. Finally, at one point, he said to Neil, are you military? I don't know why he said that.
Maybe a discount.
Well, maybe so. I don't know. Neil said, no, I'm a preacher. And he goes, oh, here I start out talking about fornication.
That's the immediate reaction of anybody
I
that
know,
finds
I
out
know.
you're a preacher.
So then the tone completely changed, and we heard all about his upbringing and how his mom was real religious. Well, then he
Mhm.
said, so are y'all Mennonite?
Why did he say that?
So when we left, I thought, two questions. Why do we look either military or Mennonite?
There's a pretty far cry between both of those.
He was very young. He was younger than our youngest kid, but it was so funny. And then Neil got up and left the table for a minute, and he said, "Well, can I ask you your opinion on something?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "Do you believe in an old Earth or a young Earth?" So we
So they
chatted
had an
about
old
that for a
earth
little
discussion.
while. Yeah, yeah. So it was funny. So
He was racking his brain to think of something to talk to a preacher about. Well, that was nice of you to engage him.
yes.
I'm
Well,
sure
he
he
was a
felt more
nice guy.
special.
He just, it was funny though, because when he came out, that was what he started out with. And when he left, Neil said he would be probably pretty embarrassed if he knew what I did for a living. Well, then he just comes right out and
Yeah.
asks him. Like, well,
And
since you asked.
the eyes give them away. Whoops.
Yeah, it was funny. Are y'all
Where was that? A
Mennonite?
restaurant?
It was a restaurant. PF Chang's.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Mine too. And it was
Love
very
PF
good.
Chang's.
Yeah, me too.
Well, we had to replace our water heater. Did I tell you that?
Yeah, you told me. I don't think you told everybody else.
So it's a long story. We were trying to figure out if we could move it into the corner of the pantry so that we could make the pantry more functional. Because I don't know what happened when we built the house. We added some square footage and it just changed the shape of the pantry. And so where the water heater sits, it made the pantry itself like you could stick your head in the pantry and see down to the end of the pantry. But I'd have to use a grabber, that grabber that was my something good to get stuff out. And you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't anyway, that's a long story to say this. When we had David Cruchette, he's a plumber, he's a member of the church in Austin that has always done a great job for us. He said, well, you should think about putting one of those. Can't think of what it's called now, but it heats as it goes through the pipes rather
Mm-hmm.
than it being um, sitting in the big water heater.
The tankless water
And
heater.
yeah, it's a tankless water heater. That's it. So I had mentioned, I know several months ago, or maybe even a couple of years ago, that our water stinks really bad. And this has completely eliminated that. It
Oh,
doesn't stink anymore coming out of the shower. It stinks in
nice.
the on the porch, like if you turn the water on to water the plants and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still stinky water, but I'm just super excited about that.
Yeah, your plants don't care as much as you do when you're showering.
No, they do not. And you can take a long shower and not worry about
Nice.
the hot water running out. Of course,
Hmm.
that's not very economical, but the fact that you could
Could if you
just
wanted
kind of,
to.
yeah. So, like, I don't always condition my hair. Do you always condition your hair?
Oh, yes.
I rarely actually because I use a leave-in conditioner, but
Hmm.
I know sometimes I just want to condition it in the shower. And so now I feel like I can actually shampoo and condition and still have enough hot water left over for all the other things you have to do in the shower. Okay, that was a side
Shave.
note. Yeah,
Shave in the
side note.
shower. Yeah, that's a luxury. Very nice.
Hmm.
Well, I ran across a meme that I thought was hilarious, and I shared it with Neil, and he didn't think it was as funny. But it
What's wrong
said,
with him?
well, it was what it said. It
Oh,
said, every marriage has one person who throws things out, and a garbage loving chaos goblin who says, "But I was saving that."
I saw that. And I'm pretty sure I know who is who in your home,
Yeah,
and
that's
pretty
why
sure
Neil
you
didn't
know
think
who
it
is
was
who in
very
this home.
funny. Yeah. So Neil was like, that's jaded.
Hmm. Yeah.
A garbage loving chaos goblin.
Yeah. It might could be said a little bit nicer than that, but it's the truth.
I thought it was hilarious.
Hmm. I saw one that had, you've probably seen lots of them that have like the old Victorian looking woman, and it said, "There's no one more determined than a woman who's about to rearrange the furniture by herself." But that's
Yes.
true
Yes.
because I can be pretty
Uh,
determined. I can make things happen when I want them to.
mhm. Does John like for you to move things around?
He says he doesn't, but he does.
Hmm.
He'll come inside and he'll look around and he goes, "I like it." But if I say I'm going to move the furniture, he's out.
Hmm.
Like, don't want to do that because it means I'm going to clean. I'm going to vacuum under things and mop or whatever. So it just feels good.
Mop? What is this
Yes.
word of which you speak?
They make these little things called Swiffers now that makes it a whole lot easier than it used to be. You don't have to carry a
Yeah.
bucket around.
Hmm. Yeah.
Well, what
All
else you
right.
got?
That's all I have.
Okay. I think that's all I have too. Shall we move on to our table topics?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask you some questions
Hmm.
and you must answer them completely, whether there's embarrassment involved or not.
Ah.
You just think I gave you the
Oh
cards.
yeah. I was like,
No, I didn't.
you pulled a switcheroo on me.
No, I share them with you because I figured this time it would be a little bit better for you to have a little more time to prepare. The
Hmm.
first one is, what music reminds you of childhood? And I know we've sort of talked about this before,
Hmm.
but we're going to talk about it again.
Hmm. Well, I feel like there's two different answers to that one. So when
Hmm.
I was really, really, really little, my earliest memories are of James Taylor
Hmm.
because that's what my mom and dad listened to, and I can hear that, and I hear certain songs, and I have flashbacks to being 6 years old.
Yeah.
But as I was growing up and listening to music, you know, pretty much all the whole 80s decade, all
Hmm.
the music from big hair bands, Bon Jovi, Michael Jackson's Thriller album, anything along those lines. And
Yeah.
lots of acapella too. We listen to a lot of
Hmm.
acapella music. So those are
Acapella,
the
like
the
acapella
group,
vocal
like
band or yeah.
both of them. Yeah.
Uh,
The acapella and then ABB. Hmm.
yeah. Yep.
What about you?
Well, there's lots because my mom was huge on music, but Percy Faith, have you ever heard of Percy Faith? Is
Mm-mm.
one of them. And it was kind of like there's another group called Anita Kerr, and it was very, very easy listening, like very um harmony, like it's kind of like cover band, like they would cover songs that other people did, but it
Oh.
would be kind of elevator music-ish. It was
Hmm.
pretty. I mean, but whenever I hear anything like that, I think of my childhood. And she was a big Nat King Cole, but then I got to thinking about 70s country. And so I looked up on Apple Music to see a playlist for 70s country. See if you recognize any of these. You remember Tulsa Time by Don Williams?
I have never listened to 70s country, and my
Your
family
dad didn't
hated
want into it.
country. No, nobody in I never listened to country until I was well into adulthood and already had. In fact, it was when we lived in Colorado. I
Well,
started
it
listening.
wasn't a huge thing, but my dad surprisingly liked. some of that old country stuff. Do you
Mhm.
not remember Jolene by Dolly Parton?
I mean, I've heard bits
Jolene,
and pieces, but
Jolene,
not when I was growing
Jolene,
up.
Jolene.
Yeah.
The Gambler by Kenny Rogers.
Hmm.
Kiss an Angel, Good Morning by
Now
Charlie
I
Pride.
do know The Gambler by Kenny Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that one. Yeah.
Do you know Kiss an Angel, Good Morning by Charlie Pride?
No.
You need to listen to that one. That's a good one. Coal Miner's Daughter by Loretta Lynn.
I mean, I've heard of it. I've never actually heard it.
Don't It Make My
Sorry.
Brown Eyes Blue by Crystal Gale.
All right, I've heard that one. My dad listened to some Crystal Gale. I didn't know she was
Okay.
country.
Delta Dawn by Tanya Tucker. Tanya Tucker.
Is that Delta Dawn?
What's that flower you got on?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Check that one. Rhinestone Cowboy by Glenn Campbell.
No,
Do you know Glenn Campbell?
I don't think so.
Behind Closed Doors. This one made me laugh because it's Charlie Rich. And I mean, it's a suggestive song, Behind Closed Doors.
I don't
But
know that one.
of course, as a child, I had no idea what it was about. But you
Yeah.
know what? I hear it now. So I was a huge Ronnie Millsap fan when I was young, like junior high.
Hmm.
And he's was blind. I think he's still alive. And I don't know what it was. I just loved his music. So lots of Ronnie Millsap. Um, there's lots of Merle Haggard, which I didn't even care for Merle Haggard. And I'm saying this like country music was a big part. It was occasional, but it just kind of got me laughing because I was looking at a playlist from Apple Music. But it made me think about there's a station in San Antonio, it was 55 KTSA, and it had the top hits from Casey Kasem. You remember that? Or are
Yeah.
you too young for
Yeah.
that?
No, I remember that.
Okay. Yeah.
I liked REO Speedwagon and Journey.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah, I
do
wrote down that too.
remember my mom on Saturdays when she was cleaning listened to the Oak Ridge Boys. Are they
Mm-hmm.
country?
Yeah.
So there you
Statler
go.
Brothers and Oak Ridge Boys. I
Yeah,
would
Statler
consider
Brothers.
them.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Okay, so there was
Yeah,
that one.
okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, for me as in high school, I was Duran Duran, Rick Springfield,
Mm-hmm.
which that was another meme that I saw that came across my feed this week about Jesse's Girl. Said something like, if Jesse's Girl is still out there, she's still watching it with those eyes, she's got readers on. I just know it.
Uh,
Pat
Bruce
Benatar.
Bruce Springsteen. Did you listen to?
Yeah, I didn't ever much like him though.
Oh,
I don't know why. I just didn't. He wasn't my thing.
hmm.
Yeah. So music of childhood.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, what's your favorite summer ritual with your family?
This is one of those where I don't have one.
I don't guess I have a super, every week kind of thing. But what are your summer memories? Maybe with when you were growing up or when your boys were younger.
I mean, it seemed like we traveled a lot and cooked on the grill, and we're boring people.
You should have told me to scratch this one.
Yeah. Well, when we were in Colorado, we would hike. We played
Yeah.
tennis a lot. We would
Where did
walk
y'all
the
play tennis?
trails in Colorado.
Hmm.
There were courts right around the corner from us.
Really?
Hmm. A couple
Didn't know
different
that.
parks with courts.
Hmm.
Yeah. Tennis is, I think that's one of the questions I have for you, but it's one of my favorite ways to exercise because you can
Mhm.
play for a couple hours without realizing you've really been
Yeah.
exercising. So we did that a lot.
Yeah.
But what about you?
Okay. Well, we would do homemade ice cream pretty often. Not
Mm,
me and John, but my parents. That
yeah,
was
we
a
did that one
Saturday night
too.
thing.
Seems
Yeah.
like every time my grandparents came over, we had homemade ice cream.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that was in the days when you didn't really worry about cooking the eggs that go into the ice cream.
Hmm.
You had raw
Now,
eggs
when
in your
I
ice
was a
cream.
child, that's a little bit easier. I would stay with my grandparents for a couple weeks every summer, so that
Hmm.
was fun.
What did you do when you were with them? Homemade ice
We
cream?
we we no, it wasn't homemade, but we my I've talked about this before, but my grandma was one of those people that had fixes the same meal every on certain days.
Uh-huh.
So we would just jump right in with our little routine, and we did have ice cream Sundays in the evening,
Hmm.
And we were always making crafty things with her, watching Lawrence Welk in the evening.
Yep. Saturday night ritual,
Yeah.
said Lawrence Welk.
Yeah. And my sister and I, as kids in the summer, just literally spent all day long outside, exploring the woods,
Mm-hmm.
playing with the garden hose. We had a little pool in the backyard.
Yeah.
That was
Did
our
Christy go
summer.
with you to your grandparents, or did y'all go
Yes.
individually?
No, we went together.
Yeah, those were good times.
Yeah.
I didn't do that very often, but yeah, when we were kids, Doug and I were outside all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from the time we would wake up until supper time, I would go in for lunch. But yeah, those days, not kind of, I guess they're not gone for everybody, but a lot of people, when I hear people say it's too hot, and I think,
Mm-hmm.
is it much hotter than it was in 1980, 79? Maybe it is, but
Yeah.
it
When
just didn't affect me as a child.
Yeah. When Neil and I drove to Calvert City last night, I was asking him some questions, and one of them was, "Would you go back and relive your childhood?"
Hmm.
And or do you miss your childhood? I forget how it was worded, but we were talking about some of those things, just the carefreeness of it and playing outside. The days just seem so much
Yeah.
longer, you know.
Hmm.
Before adulthood responsibilities or bills or knowing about marriage problems or pain or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah.
Just the whole, like, your life was all about what are we going to do between now and dinner
Yeah.
to
And
make the time go by before we can eat supper. Yeah.
the only thing you dreaded was the possibility of a dentist appointment out there in the future
Exactly.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I heard that Brent got to go home. Speaking of
Yes.
Neil's
Yes. I
family,
cannot believe I didn't share that. He sure did.
that's awesome. And
Yeah,
he's
pray
doing
for
well.
his. He is, but his whole routine is different now because he's still on the trach, and his parents
Yeah.
have to learn how to do all the things involved with taking care of that, which is kind of a
Hmm.
big deal. So,
Yeah.
you know,
But they're not having to
some
drive back and forth. That's great.
exactly, but some challenges ahead. But it was definitely a step in the right direction, and I can't imagine what it's like to be home and sleep in your own bed after
Yeah.
months of being
Yeah.
hospitalized. So,
So
yeah,
glad.
answer
The
prayers.
only other thing as far as summer rituals was going barefoot. Did you go barefoot?
Mm-hmm.
I
When we lived in
remember
Florida, yeah.
my mom she would have to before she would let me go barefoot, she would have to go out and test out the ground to see if it wasn't too cold.
In
And I
Texas?
think, yes. I mean, it
Huh.
would be probably April, I guess, and she would have to see if it was not too
Mm.
cold, and she'd go out in her bare feet, and I'm like,
Hmm.
please, 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 please,
I thought you were going
let
to
me go
say
barefoot.
she'd go out and test for scorpions and rattlesnakes.
No, I mean, we were in North Texas then, and I know that there's rattlesnakes in North Texas too, but I don't think
Mm-hmm.
there were scorpions. But we had grass, not the kind of weeds that we have now with stickers here.
Mm-hmm.
We've tried to lay down some grass that the kids could go barefoot in. Turner will not keep shoes on. And I just rue the day. I know it's coming when she steps square on one of those sticker burrs. It's going to kill her. But
Ugh,
anyway, going
yeah.
barefoot, that was a huge summer ritual to me. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Miss it.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Which moment from your life would you choose to relive if you could? I know we've kind of talked about this before.
Um, yeah, there's a lot to choose from there because there have been a lot of
Hmm.
highlights, but I think I'd like to go back and relive my wedding and actually pay attention to what's going on. I think
Yeah.
it's a lot of it is just a big blur.
Hmm.
And I'm trying not to cry and hold it together and look poised and remember all my steps and
Yeah.
but especially the after part when everybody at the reception was trying to wish us well and
Hmm.
being with the people. I don't remember any of that. I know
Yeah.
I went through it. I just don't remember it.
Did you have it recorded in any way?
We were supposed to. Our photographer had one of those video cameras that was supposed to automatically follow emotion.
Hmm.
And he had tested it during the rehearsal dinner, but then forgot to charge it overnight.
Mm.
So we didn't
Oh
know until
boy.
after the fact that nothing was recorded. So the only recording we have is my grandpa had actually had something that he was using. And the quality isn't great, but we have little snippets
Yeah.
of some pieces of our wedding. So.
We have a recording from the sound booth above looking down. So you can see the audience, and it's dark
Mhm.
because we had turned the lights down. But that's it, just lots of pictures. But that's, I
Mhm.
mean, to me too, the wedding day, reliving that, just to be able to slow down and think. I have a picture of me and my dad right before we were about to walk down the center aisle. And I have this look on my face like deer in the headlights. I never like being the center of attention.
Mhm.
And so, talk about the center of attention. That is, you can't be more center of attention than a bride on her wedding day.
Yeah, remember that comment a few minutes from now. Go on.
Uh-oh. But, in the video, you can see as we get close to the front, my mom reached out and squeezed my elbow, and I had no memory of that. It was like there's little bits and pieces I can remember, but I would like to go back and just take it all in more. But not just that. I think there's things like if you don't really know sometimes, especially as someone is developing Alzheimer's, you've had your last really rational conversation with them and you don't even know it. And
Yeah.
so there's things I would like to go back, my dad, my grandmother's, just to kind of hold on to that moment a little bit more. But no regrets. It's just kind of one of those I would like to if I could. So why am I supposed to hold on to whatever moment you just told me to hold on to?
You'll find out.
Uh-oh. Is that one of your questions later?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Where were you on September 11th, 2001?
We were in West Virginia. Neil was holding a gospel meeting, and I was at a park with the boys. They were 3, 5, and 7, and playing in a park while Neil was studying in the hotel room, going over his lessons for that night. And when I got back, I drove back to the hotel. There was a guy on his motorcycle. I parked right next to him. He was on his motorcycle. He had his head in his hands, and he goes, "I can't believe it. I can't believe it." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "You haven't heard? We've been attacked." And I was like, "What?" And I ran up to the hotel room, and Neil was sitting on the edge of the bed just staring at the TV like this.
Mhm.
And so that's where we were. So he completely changed his message for that night
Mhm.
and preached something completely different. And then afterwards, we went over. The local preacher and his wife invited us over to their house, and we watched videos of they had just gone to New York like that summer or the summer before recently. And so they had videos of the Twin Towers and all. So they were showing those videos and we were all praying together. And
Mhm.
so, how about you?
Um, we actually, John and me and Doug and Karen had a trip planned to go to New York City on like December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of that year.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Doug calling me that morning and saying, "Turn on the TV. They're still going to be cleaning that up when we get there." So I turned on the TV and I just remember thinking some little biplane or something, got in an accident, not really thinking about, the how it couldn't have been that kind of thing. And of course, while we were watching the second plane hit, and so our boys were 9, 11, 9, and almost 3. And the older two went on to school, and we were just trying to at that point we didn't know how serious it was.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we live here 25 miles from Austin, and George Bush is the president, and this is Austin's his hometown. And I remember driving into Austin that day to do something. I had Micah with me, and just kind of this surreal feeling of America being under attack, because it really
Mm-hmm.
that's not it on our home turf. It had not
Mm-hmm.
happened. I know it had happened at some point in different places and stuff, but here.
Mm-hmm.
And I had I was trying to think yesterday when I was looking at this if I had a cell phone, and I think I did, because I remember John calling me, or maybe it was that I found a payphone and called him or something, just checking in, and just that whole feeling. Wasn't it a Wednesday? Yeah, pretty sure it was a Wednesday.
Was it?
Maybe it was a Tuesday, because we
Tuesday is
all
sticking in my
met.
head, but
Yeah, I think it was
mm-hmm.
Tuesday, because we all met at the church building that night and prayed. And there's lots of things that stick out in my mind about that day and just how odd it felt, and just thinking about the future of my children and what's next. I think that kept going through my mind is what's next? What are they going to hit next? And it was a scary day.
It
Think
was.
about how many things have changed since then.
It changed travel forever.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I remember we used to be able to walk John to the gate
Hmm.
at the old Austin airport before all that happened, and not anymore.
Nope.
Do they even have metal detectors before then?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't remember. Okay, we ready for the next?
Hmm.
So, what do you fear the most? Spiders, snakes, sharks, heights, or something else?
Cockroaches.
They can't hurt you though.
Yes, they can. They can give me a heart attack. Yeah,
I bought a
that's
bag of fake cockroaches because when we left Denver last week, I knew that Mike, Vestal, and Dano were going to stay in the house next. And I was just going to leave them around in different places. And then I thought, Carla, would they really appreciate that? They're trying to be here teaching these people, and I'm leaving cockroaches. So I didn't do it. But I mean,
so
I
you
actually
sent it to
went so.
me. First
Well,
thing I saw when I opened that box. You can't do that very much longer because I'm getting older, It'd be a health
okay.
risk.
Yes. Cockroaches. That's so
Yeah.
silly.
Ugh, they're disgusting.
You're really afraid of them?
I'm terrified of them. Yeah.
They do move really fast.
One time when I was in college, I mean, thankfully there were none in Colorado, and I haven't seen any since we've been in Kentucky. But one time when I was in college in Montgomery, Alabama, I was showering in my dorm room, and when I opened my eyes, there was a great big one on the shower
Oh
curtain
my.
right in front of my face. And I screamed and took off. I ran to the ran down the hall, went out, knocked on the neighbor's door. I was like, "Can I rinse off in your shower?"
I know you didn't like them. I just didn't know you were afraid of them.
Ooh, yeah. That's my head's itching just thinking about it.
They are gross. They
Hmm.
are very disgustingly gross. Okay, me, I'm not afraid of spiders. I can step on spiders. Snakes, I'm very I have a healthy respect of them. But I mean, we live in the middle of Texas and I have seen very few.
Hmm.
Literally, I guess I can count. I killed a coral snake one time, but I've seen others. And I saw a baby rattlesnake one time and we killed that. But
Yeah.
I mean,
They
we're
startle me when I come up on them, but I'm not
mhm,
afraid of them.
yeah. A rattlesnake, if I saw a full grown, I mean, my nephew Reagan was bitten by one when he was 4, and that was a big deal. That was just out their back door. I mean,
Ooh. Mm.
that was 30 miles from here. So that's a kind of a big deal. Sharks, I'm not ever going to be in water with sharks, I say, as we're about to get on a cruise. I hadn't really thought about that until just now. Heights, I don't care much for heights, but I can stay away from them. Although if we're driving along a mountain road and we're on the outside, I don't like that. I don't like being able to see way down out the car.
Yeah, I don't mind it until Neil starts looking around, and then I'm like, "Keep
Yeah,
your eyes on."
yeah.
I look
I
at that,
think,
and I'm like, "I can't. One of us has to be watching the road."
yeah, it doesn't do much good if you're not driving. But I don't want to drive up there either. What if I pass out or something?
Oh no.
Kill us both. I think I'm probably more afraid of flying, stinging things than any of those things on that list
Hmm.
because they're so unpredictable.
Yeah, I used to not be.
Yeah,
Now
now.
I
What
am.
was that little reel you sent me about there's people that
Yeah, how they react.
the wafters
Yeah,
and the screamers, and then there was one other, was like, just ignore
don't
it.
just freeze. Don't move.
Yeah.
Don't move.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I don't, I showed it to John and he said, yeah, you're definitely the screamer. I don't scream. He said, well, there are noises that come out of your mouth as you are running away. Maybe it's not, but I don't
Uh,
like them. Okay, next. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Yeah, I think I've answered this one before, but it is still tardiness.
Yeah,
Like
we did.
that
We did do
whole
this one.
being late and so you're rushed and I
Yeah.
hate that feeling.
Yeah. Okay. And mine is still people's lack of awareness. Like if
With
they're
the
just
grocery cart.
completely, yeah, the grocery cart, or just if they're like walking in the middle of the aisle and they're just kind of meandering and they have no idea of the people that are trying to get around them. So I'm sure I have other pet peeves. Okay, let's move on. What family do you admire?
I admire Wayne and Wheezy Burger. Neil, he called Neil the other day. They just had a good catch up phone call. And here's why it's because they are 82,
Yeah, something. Mm-hmm.
80 something years old, picked up from their home in Colorado. And they've been in this area for over 30 years, moved all the way up to the New England states, which is pretty much a mission field
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the Lord's church, bought a fixer upper.
Yeah.
And
It's like they don't know they're 80 something.
exactly. And spend almost every waking hour soul winning in that community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having neighborhood Bible studies in their home, knocking on
Mm-hmm.
doors, growing the church, and driving to encourage nearby churches.
Yeah.
I mean, he is, when it comes to kingdom work, he is the Energizer Bunny. And I admire it so much because it's not like he turned a certain age and said, well, I think I'll let the young whippersnappers take over now.
Mm-hmm.
No, let's just move across the country and see what we can do over here.
Yeah.
And I'm just inspired,
Yeah.
inspired by
And
them.
have a fun, sweet, good attitude about it,
Yeah,
not
and that's another thing.
grumpy
He's
about it.
he's never tooting his horn
Mm-hmm.
at all, and just he's just it's like you can tell he feels honored to
Yeah.
still be able to serve.
In fact, he's usually tearing up over feeling love for someone else who's
Yes.
doing something that he considers better than what he can do.
Yes.
Yeah, there's nobody like Wayne and Wheezy. They're a true power couple.
You.
Um, I thought about several. One family that comes to mind is the Warrens family, John and Laura.
Mhm.
They have 11, right? 11 kids?
9.
Nine. Okay,
Mhm.
sorry. Threw a couple extra in there. And they, I think what it is, they love being together. And I know that you can't there's times that you're going to get annoyed with one another or whatever, but they like to be together and they laugh and have fun and they get along. That's what it looks like. I'm sure they all get along, but there's always going to be times in families that are difficult and hard, but just the sweetest family that I have admired Laura for such a long time. There's um, things that she has told me about decisions that they made regarding their children that I admired so much, just homeschooling, but in such a way that she had a way of being able to say, this is what's right for our family, and it might not be right for every family. And that's such a hard line
Mhm.
because, when I think something's right for my family, I tend to think it's probably right for every family, or it should
Yeah.
be.
She respects other people's choices for their
Hmm.
families. Hmm.
Yeah. And
When
she's,
people ask you to do be a reference for them,
mhm.
I was able to do that for her one time and actually got the phone call. I mean, that never happens. I
Yeah.
feel like people ask me to do that and like I never actually
Yeah.
get called but I did. I got the phone call about her and I thought, psh, this is the easiest thing I've ever
Yep.
done. I mean, the
Hmm.
questions they were asking me, I was like, oh yeah, she's your girl. Here's
Yeah.
why, blah, 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 and I was like, this is
Hmm.
so easy. Just,
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, there are so many others, but they're the ones that came to mind. What makes a house a home?
um,
Love.
yeah, definitely love. But I just think it's being true to yourself in the home with what's all around you and what matters to your family and not worrying
Hmm.
about what everybody else thinks or what they think you should be doing with it or
Yeah.
using it to make other people happy.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I look at the things that you have behind you, and these are things that make you happy. You wouldn't have them up on the walls or on your counters if they didn't. And so even if there's some things that I wouldn't have picked up and thought, oh, that's really cool, but I love it because you love it, because that's what's
Mhm.
comfortable to you and that's what makes your home comfortable.
Mhm.
So to me, that, like what you said, is being true to yourself. And so I think about people who have lots of money and are able to just have a decorator come in and tell them. I think that's boring, because I mean, you're having somebody tell you what you like. Maybe I'm sure they ask you, what do you like, what colors and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
to me, what adds so much interest and makes a house a home is, of course, it's the love and the comfort level and all, but the things that you put in it have memories attached to them. You
Mhm.
have photos there of people that you love, or memories that you've created over the years. And so
Mhm.
it's not a showcase, but it's just your own tastes. It's kind of like a collected type
Yeah.
theme, if you will. So
If
that's
I think about walking into somebody else's, I think what stands out to me is you can tell when somebody takes joy in their home,
mhm.
no matter what the style is. And you can tell the ones who don't,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have anything to do with their level of housekeeping, like how
Mhm.
clean
Right.
they are, or anything like that. You can just tell there's an attitude toward the home that comes across.
I think I am neater, cleaner, tidier, whatever now than I was before. I couldn't really be before when the boys were
Mm-hmm.
little, because it was just, I know what it's like. You get something fixed, cleaned, and it's completely destroyed 2 hours later.
Mm-hmm.
But I can, and I like that sense of orderliness and tidiness, and sometimes too much. Like, it bothers me if it's, it bothers me is not the right word, but I have had to kind of talk to myself and say it's okay if it's not, if your counters are not completely uncovered, because I like for clutter to be gone, because I think that got to be a little bit too much of a thing for me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Good for you. I'm glad you don't.
Just because I had to remove a stand at the top of our stairs because it became another landing place doesn't mean
Hmm.
anything.
No, of course not. Mm, not at all. Probably at the end of your table down here, right? Is where you do you
Ours
stack
is
things down there?
the no, ours is the island in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That's the landing place. People
Hmm.
walk in and drop their stuff down.
Yeah.
I'm like, do
And
you
leave it
not see
there.
how it's all cleared off with just a plant and a candle in the middle?
You say people. There's that one other people that lives there with you, right?
Ollie lives here.
Ollie doesn't leave things on that island. I'm sure he can't reach it. Okay, what
uh,
song evokes the strongest memories for you?
I feel like this is very similar to the music one. I'm gonna go with "Love Can Build a Bridge" because that was one of our wedding songs.
Yeah. This is kind of one of those things that you don't, until you hear a song, you're like, oh, yeah, I remember how much. But yeah,
Now I
love can
have a
build a
lot
bridge.
of childhood songs like that we sing: "God's Family,"
Mhm.
"The Lighthouse." Um, what's the one? There's a couple of them that my family sang together. We had kind of a little quartet going. That every
Mhm.
time we sing those, I have definite strong flashbacks to my
Yeah.
childhood.
Yeah. Yeah. One of mine is How Great Thou Art, because my grandfather, I don't know, he, it was my dad's dad, and he died when I was like 11 or 12. So I don't have a lot of memories with him, but he was usually kind of sick. He had, I think it was diabetes that made it that he had an amputation. And anyway, it was just something that he liked, and he would play it and he would sing it, and I would hear him whistle it, just different, something about that song. So when I hear it, it makes me think of him and my grandmother. So that's one of them. And then How Deep the Father's Love, because when we took Jacob for his visit to Harding and knew that that's where we were about to, this was like 6 months before we knew he was going to go to school there. And they led it. I had not heard it, but maybe once before, but they led it during worship that morning. And we were happened to be sitting in the middle of all these college students.
Mm-hmm.
And I was already emotional, just the thought of knowing that he's going to be here and I'm going to be at, 10 hours away. But the words to that song just so meaningful, and to hear it sung by those young people, it just evokes a lot of memories for
Yeah,
me.
you're right. Now that you say that, I still remember where I was the first time I heard First John 4, 7, and 8. And it was at Camp Idlewild. And I had to run home for something, and I came back and everybody was in this great big circle at camp singing that song. And it was the very first time I'd ever heard it. And I had chills, and
Mhm.
tears, and just thought it was so beautiful. And then um, the second one was the first time I ever heard Can You Still Feel the Nails,
Yeah.
was at Higher Ground, the very first year we ever did it. And
Hmm.
we had met in this oversized house mansion kind of thing. And I'd run upstairs for something, and there was an upper level balcony where you could look
Hmm.
down and see the whole main floor. And I was coming out and standing right there when they were in the middle of singing Can You Still Feel the Nails? And it was all girls, and they had just split up, and it was beautiful. It was like
Hmm.
floating up to me, and I just stood there and listened to the whole
Yeah.
thing and cried.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
another song, I should have said this right out of the gate, is, have you ever heard of that old song, Tears on My Pillow?
Probably, but I'm not sure.
Neil sang that to me on our first date. I don't know why, but he did. So
Okay.
every now and then he'll sing that again, and I always have a flashback to our
Tears on My
first.
Pillow. Is
Tears
it
on My
like,
Pillow.
well, that's not a hymn. It's just
No, it's not. Yeah.
okay. I'm gonna
There
have
are
to
a
look that
few
up.
there are a few songs like that he sang quite a bit during our dating days, that when I hear them, I'm instantly
Yeah.
transported back
Isn't
to
it funny
being
how
young and in love. Now I'm old and in love, but
hmm it's just so funny how music can take you straight back to where you
mm-hmm.
memories.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather meet your great grandchildren or great grandparents?
Great grandchildren.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just because they're not alive yet. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
can kind of do some research and stuff and know things about my great grandparents, but great grandchildren, when I know how I feel about my grands, and mom
Mm-hmm.
tells me you feel even more about your greats. So,
It's hard to imagine.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What does your family have any silly traditions during the holiday season?
No. You said I couldn't say nope to any of the questions, so I just said no.
Not nope, just no.
Yeah, I
Our
mean,
only
I
one,
can't. We're pretty traditional. I can't really think of anything.
yeah. I don't know if ours qualifies as silly, but the pickle. I think we
Mm-hmm.
talked about this. You hide a
Mm-hmm.
pickle in the tree, and the first that, not a real pickle, but a pickle ornament, first that finds it wins a prize. So
Mm-hmm.
that's that's the only one I could think of. Okay, you said you had some questions.
I do. These are short, fast ones. So, are there any websites that you visit daily?
Um, Probably Amazon. That's to
How
my
about
detriment.
an app on your phone? What app on your phone do you use the most?
Google,
Hmm.
or my mail app, or Facebook. Also embarrassing.
Yeah, I took Pinterest off my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So,
found that I use Spotify more and more because I listen to a lot of podcasts
hmm,
while I'm walking or doing things around the house.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so this is the one I wanted you to think about later, because one of the questions is, do you like being the center of attention? And you had mentioned your wedding day and said, no,
No,
you
I
do
hate being
not
the center of
like being
attention.
the center of attention. Yeah, I
Definitely
do.
not.
I do like it. I do like it. Um,
I'll
I don't know
remember that.
why. It has never bothered me to have the whole birthday thing happen in restaurants. I know some people are mortified. I love it. I'm like, hey, it's my birthday.
No, we are alike in a lot of
Uh,
ways, but that is one way
yeah,
we are different. I
yeah.
mean, I don't mind for people singing, but it's always that, where do you look
Mm-hmm.
when someone's singing to you?
Right.
Just have this awkward
Yeah.
smile on your face.
Okay. Do you most often follow your heart or your head?
Probably my head,
Mm-hmm.
but it used to be more my heart. I think
Mm-hmm.
you get a little older and wiser, and you learn that following your heart can lead you in a bad place.
Yeah, same. I like to think that most often I follow my head. Occasionally my heart slips or
Yeah. Sometimes they are the same.
gets me in trouble. True. All right, what's your favorite thing to eat?
Mhm. Um, I'll set aside chocolate because that's its own category, but probably like a really, really good, juicy hamburger that has all the things on it that I like with a
Mm-hmm.
good fresh bun that's been toasted
Mm-hmm.
and some ranch dressing.
Mm-hmm. Did I mention my stomach was growling before we started
You,
recording?
you haven't had anything to eat since your Mediterranean meal last night.
Yeah, mine, that's a tough one because I love food and so many good foods. But if I had to pick, I would say the summer produce, fresh corn on
Mhm.
the cob, fresh sliced homegrown tomatoes. I could eat that every day, all day long. Love it.
I wish I liked more of that.
What do you usually eat for breakfast? I would know we've talked about this before, but mine kind of comes and goes. Like I go through
Mhm.
jags. Like right now, I'm on a smoothie kick, and I have the exact same thing in this exact same smoothie every
Yeah.
morning.
Mine, I kind of have not had much over the last couple of weeks, but it's still cottage cheese.
Oh, you're
I
back to
have,
that?
yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
okay.
because I found a couple that I like and it's good protein and can just
Hmm.
have a few bites and I'm full till lunch. So,
Yeah. Okay. Gross. All right. Here's a good one. How do you think you've changed in the last 5 years?
mm.
Hmm.
um, well, this podcast has made me more comfortable putting myself out there. So, probably a little more extroverted than I used to be, maybe. I don't know. What about
Okay.
you?
Uh, when I thought about this, I started thinking about, how people say the 50s is like your very best decade because you're comfortable in your skin, you know? And at
Hmm.
first I thought, whatever, they're just saying that to make themselves feel better. Because everything weird happens to your body,
Yeah.
at that same time. But I think it's true. I think it's true. And I was talking to Neil a little bit about this last night because I think that I've changed in that it's not that I don't care what people think. I just don't let it drive my decisions
Yeah.
as much. I'm not worried as much when people walk into my house that my style is very different or people are, for whatever reason, always very vocal about whatever I'm doing to my hair. And that used to mean something, oh, they don't seem to like it this way. I'm gonna go back to doing this, or I'm gonna go
Hmm.
back to and I don't care anymore, and that's a good thing because ditching the dye apparently is a big deal, and
Hmm.
I get lots of comments. So,
It's
but
so funny to me how people are so afraid to talk to you about what they think about your hair.
yes, yes, I had a couple of different people at the retreat show up that haven't seen me in a while, and I've gotten this before from people that haven't seen me in a while. I didn't even recognize you.
Mm.
And then there's that long, you're waiting for
Yeah,
the,
I love it.
yeah, no, no, but that's okay. It just doesn't, I know why I'm doing
Hmm.
it. And I'm very happy that I'm doing it. And it just doesn't, it's not like, I think before I would have been like, ooh, I would go back and start highlighting it,
Hmm.
but it just it doesn't even hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I just think everybody has an opinion and I don't have to let it mean a lot to me and expectations of what I think I should be doing with my schedule or my life. And I'm not talking about Christian
Yeah, of
responsibilities,
course
but
not.
just I think those things were bigger pressures on me than they are now. And
Yeah.
I feel more free to think through but what's a priority for me and my family? What's important to
Hmm.
me? And
Has something to
so
do with confidence.
yeah, it does in a way. Yeah. Okay. Well, you've changed. We were just talking about coffee.
Yeah.
We don't drink coffee anymore.
Well, I don't know, because I've been sort of under the weather, not viral, whatever, but just stuff going on that I will spare everyone the details. But yeah, so since like 2 weeks ago, I just don't want coffee. And that's not me because I'm a very much a
Mm-hmm.
coffee person,
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Part of
the
your whole
lead.
morning ritual and everything.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
So I don't know if that's going to come back or not. And there's
Well,
some good things about it and some not so great things. Mostly, I think mostly it might be a good thing. I would like it, but I would not be sad to not have to have it,
mm-hmm.
especially on trips. So,
Yeah. Okay. Um, what do you think you'll be like when you're old? Or
was that as
older?
older? I mean,
No, what do
everyone,
you think you'll be like when you're old?
um, I think I'm hoping that I will be gracious.
Do you think you will be gracious?
I think I will.
Mm-hmm.
I think I pray that I will,
Mm-hmm.
mostly because I've experienced some not so gracious older people, and I don't want to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Determined not to be that way. So that's, I
Yeah,
think,
that question terrifies me because I know my weaknesses, and you know how they say when you get older, those things are magnified and you lose more of your filters. And
hmm
I'm thinking about the tendency, and not with everybody, but with my husband, or things that I know I need to be working on. I don't need to be always telling him when I'm not happy about something. I don't need to be so critical. Those two things in particular, I don't want to be that old lady.
yeah.
And so, I hope I think about older women that everybody of all ages love to be around. And it's because they're interested in other people, they're joyful, you can tell they care. That's who I
hmm
want to be.
Yeah. My mom always passed around a copy of this article called Meet an Old Lady. And I want this to be a topic sometime. You know
Mm-hmm.
how we talk about we have to feel it. So I don't know when that'll be, but I'll share that next week, the Meet an Old Lady, because it talks about what you are now is what you will solidify or harden into later. So in other words, you've got to work on your faults and your qualities that you don't want to be like now. You have to figure that out now and work on it now because
Mm-hmm.
later you don't care and that
Yeah.
filter's gone and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
meet an old lady.
So, this question isn't on my list, but what's on your necklace? I keep catching it in
It
the
is,
screen here, and I'm trying to
it's
figure
a
out what it
bumblebee.
is.
It's a bee. Bree
Oh,
Mayfield,
okay,
I
I can
mean,
see that now.
Bree
Yeah.
Vestal gave me this last year. She
Nice.
said, I'm a worker bee. I love this necklace.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite way to exercise?
Riding bicycle.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It's not the most convenient because you have to have a good place to ride and we don't here in Drippin. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I like that. I like to play pickleball, but don't very often. Go outside and chop down trees and drag them, that kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
favorite as far as fun, if I was saying to go have fun, it would be riding a bike.
Okay. My
What
all-time
about
favorite
yours?
is tennis, but I haven't learned how to play pickleball yet, and I want to.
I think you would love it.
I think I would too. I really
First
need.
person I heard talking about it was Cheryl Turner,
Me too.
and she would say that you like kind of what you were saying about tennis is you're
Mm-hmm.
active and having fun and stuff, and you're sore the next day, and you're thinking, why am I sore? Because you
Mm-hmm.
were working your body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I like exercise that doesn't feel like exercise.
yeah, something that's fun.
Yeah. All right, last one. What's your go-to dish when you need a quick dinner?
Lately, a rotisserie chicken and a Caesar salad mix, a
Mm-hmm.
really good one. And then I'll maybe boil a little pasta to throw in there. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like yours that you
Yeah,
talked
the
about last.
tortellini. And,
Hmm.
yeah, that's a good one.
But that's so easy because it's all ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you,
Mine's probably tacos.
yeah.
I like to make fish tacos a lot, and I over the summer I made some mango salsa and froze
Hmm.
it so that you could pull it out and it'd be like fresh salsa. So that's
Yeah. That's
probably the
John's
one I
favorite
turn
meal.
to most often. What tacos?
Tacos. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Our
always make
kids
him
like it
happy.
too. Yeah, that's one of the meals that it's hard to accommodate everybody because everybody goes through phases of what they're trying to eat and what they're trying to avoid.
Hmm.
But with a dish like that, you can pretty much everybody can. include or leave out whatever they
Right.
want. And it pretty much works for everybody across the
Yeah.
board somehow.
Yeah. If they're not doing carbs, they can leave off
Mhm.
the taco shell or
Mhm.
tortilla, whatever. And
Or if they're not doing dairy, they don't have to use cheese and sour cream. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. That was
hungry.
fun. Yeah. Let's eat.
All right. Well, do you have something good for me this week?
I do. Mine is a YouTube channel, and I think the exact name is Peaches Skincare. It's not about a
Peaches.
cow.
Or
It's
peaches.
not about a cow. Let's not go there. But it is about this woman. She turned 59 years old in February, and she has beautiful skin, and she never wears foundation or concealer. She, in fact, believes that those things are, they interfere with your hormones and, toxic for your skin and all that kind of stuff. So her whole YouTube channel is about basically holistic skincare. And it's really, really interesting. And what I appreciate about her channel is that um, she does have a skincare line now where you could order some of these things, but you don't have to because she'll say, you could order this or you could just use,
Mm-hmm.
and she'll talk about, just various like milk and magnesium, sleeping with that on your skin overnight as a mask draws out impurities and things like that. Wash it off in the morning. The certain things that you can do with castor oil or Vaseline brand petroleum jelly or just I can't even think of all the different things, but it's really, really interesting. And she's got a ton of videos. They now live in Hawaii, so there's also that
Mm-hmm.
interesting background to it. But
Yeah.
yeah, Peaches Skincare YouTube channel.
Okay. I'd be interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is it's a woman on Instagram, and she's probably on other social media as well, but she is a photographer, and she has put out a couple and probably more of short videos showing you how to position yourself for a photograph. And I was thinking about this because there's probably people out there listening. They're like, I don't care. I don't care how to position myself. But I do. I mean, I would rather like one picture of myself recently. I was towards the front of the group and I had this big pink sweatshirt on and I looked like bigger than the rest of the people in the photograph. And I mean, I know enough to know logically I'm not. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only one that thought that, most likely, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But like which way, like to turn your shoulder a certain way or to cross your legs rather than sitting there, like just letting it all hang out to sit up straight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I thought I would share those because if anyone else like me would like to know how best to, just little tweaks here and there when you're about to be in a group photo, or just maybe it's a pose that you're doing for your professional resume or something. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. My problem with that kind of stuff is I don't remember them. And I'll be like, so did they say, put your arm back or put your arm down? Did they, it's like when you're running
Mhm.
away from vicious beasts. Some of them you're supposed to freeze, and some of them you're supposed to make
Yeah.
a lot of noise and run. And I'd be like, which
Which
one am I supposed
one?
to be the opposite? So I feel
Yeah.
like that'll be me when it's time to take a picture. I'll be like, take my chin out? No. In.
Well, she
No.
kind of
Sideways? No.
explains
Tilt.
it. She explains it when she's talking about it. So if you listen, you can hear it makes sense. So I think it will help. Like crossing your legs. Rather, she shows both ways. She'll say, "Don't sit like this," and she
Mm-hmm.
sits down and slumps over and legs are kind of spread, and she said, "Don't sit like that. Sit like this," and then she'll turn, cross her legs, and put her hand on her knee or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's probably easier to remember than what
Hmm.
what we think it might be.
Yeah. I definitely need that. I hate seeing myself in pictures.
I think we're all
When
that
you're
way.
sharing the picture, you get to go through and pick the one that looks flattering. When somebody else shares it, it's like, really?
Yeah.
Thanks a
Yep.
lot. Thought we
Yeah.
were friends.
You and I have had to come to an understanding about that. We give each
Yeah,
other a right of refusal.
that's right. Yeah. And my sister, she's the same way. And at the retreat, she was like, those of you taking pictures, the rule is
Hmm.
No sharing them without
Yeah.
permission.
Yes, for
Uh,
sure.
yeah. All right.
All right. It's been fun. It's
Mhm.
been lighthearted. I needed this week just to laugh and smile and just have a conversation. I always enjoy that.
Yeah. Hope you feel better and continue to improve and get back to normal.
Thanks.
You've had a rough couple of weeks. I'm sorry.
Well, it just makes you thankful for just
Mhm.
normal. And I don't have anything to complain about. It's not anything serious. It's just little
Mhm.
minor irritations, but sometimes those add up and you get really cranky. Sorry, John.
Yeah. Well, and you were traveling in the middle of all that too, and that's never fun.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's all going to be good. So, anyway,
Good
it's been
deal.
good.
Mhm.
Thank you for listening in. If you're still with us, thanks for hanging on all the way through. We would love for you to check out our YouTube page. Is it page? YouTube page?
Channel.
Channel. Look at our YouTube channel and like and subscribe and share it if you will. We're not trying to monetize. We're just trying to get the word out and have a community of women who can rely on one another to be more Christ-like, but just having an enjoyable time with one another. We just are in favor of that. We like to do that. So
Mhm.
thanks for joining us. And until next time,
Keep looking up.
all right, we'll talk to you later.